This is Doug, and welcome to another episode of the Practicing Accountant podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about a hot topic, especially when you just get done working multiple busy seasons with your clients. And that topic is when to lose those clients. Some of them, as I know you know, need to go. And here's the good news. By losing clients, you may be doing the best thing for your business. Enjoy this episode.
We're talking about losing clients.
Yeah, I think we have a statement we'll start with here, and that statement is: if you lose clients, it will be the best thing for your business. Period. Now, I would imagine that some folks listening to this are nodding their heads like, yeah, totally, yeah, I totally know, but they're not doing it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the promise truly is in the position that we take at the Practicing Accountant is, getting rid of clients is the best thing for your business, and period. I've got a few clients that have experienced this lately, and it's fun because I've worked with them for multiple years now, so I can kind of watch their transition. So I met a guy maybe a year and a half ago, and he was overloaded with 1040s. He was overloaded with clients that didn't fit his niche. He was taking anything that showed up in his email box or phone call or referral. He was just continuing to add to the problem, more clients. In the back of his mind, he was trying to reach a certain revenue number. And so he just was saying yes in order to achieve that. And that's about the same time that I got a chance to work with him. And, the conversations we had were about how tired he was, how overwhelmed he was, how sick of clients he was, how, he was so tired. I'd see him on the Zoom calls and he'd be in his sweatpants and sweatshirt, and, he didn't care how he showed up for me. I think he should cared if he showed up for a client. But I mean, the word that comes to mind is disheveled. He just looked like he had too many clients, right?
Yeah.
And so, we started having a conversation around, what's the right client to have? What are the things you should be saying yes to? And more importantly, what are the things that you've said yes to before or in the past that you probably need to say no to now? In other words, who should you lose?
Mm-hmm.
How should you curate your client list or cultivate it in a more positive way? And we started going down this path, and we actually got to, I think it was probably about this. No, it was a little bit later in the year. It was probably November. And we created a list of who he was going to fire. We created a letter that he was going to use to fire them, or a script that he was going to use to fire them. I think some clients, he wanted to make sure he had a phone call because they were either referred to him by someone he trusted or he had a better relationship with.
Mm-hmm.
And then he had a list that he didn't give a shit about. He just wanted gone, wanted nothing to do with. And it took a couple of conversations for him to finally pull that trigger, but then he did. And he got rid of, I don't know, say 10 to 15% of his client count. And he was nervous. He was worried. He was trying to figure out how he was going to make ends meet that year in totality. Then an interesting thing happened. A couple of great new clients showed up in December for him. And that was through some business development efforts he was doing, some relationships he had. He was able to say yes to them because he had the confidence that, I've got room for these folks because of the space I've created. And turns out, he actually enjoyed serving them. And it also turns out they paid him better than the ones he got rid of. And it also turns out it turned into a niche for him.
Mm.
And, fast forward, I talked to him maybe I talked to him after the 15th. So, I'm not going to say he looked, better. He was still busy and he's still working hard, but he still has clients he needs to fire. But it was interesting to me in the conversation with him how confident he was about getting rid of clients versus how I met him.
Mm.
And when I met him, there was fear. There was a lack of confidence to do it. There was concern. There was, some people pleaser that wasn't very pleased with this idea of getting rid of clients. And then when I talked to him, called 3 weeks ago, Like, he didn't give a shit. He was just like, I'm getting rid of this one. I'm getting rid of that one. I'm getting rid of all of these. I'm just getting rid of the whole thing. And there was no worry about replacing the work. He was like, I've already found a couple that will replace it that are better. They're aligned with my niche. I'm excited to serve them. Instead of doing, this service, they're doing a breadth of service. So he's made a rule now that if he takes on a client, they have to do at least 2 or 3 of the services he provides instead of just 1040s or just bookkeeping. It's got to be a package deal. It's got to be within the niche. He's hired 2 full-time people since I talked to him last to support him in serving these clients. He's making, I can't give you the number off the top of my head right now, but he's making, call it, mid six, I'd say maybe $50,000, $60,000 more this year than he was the year before. He has fewer clients. Like it's probably sounds like bullshit if you're listening to it. Like, oh yeah, sure, Doug. Yeah. Like that's the truth, but it's the truth. And this is a real story, and it's not the only one I've got. But it all stemmed from him deciding that enough is enough. I cannot sustain this. I don't get to see my family. I don't get to, hang out on the weekends. I don't go out on the boat. I don't go to concerts. Like, these are things that he was thinking about. And he just finally said enough is enough, through some coaching and a little bit of convincing that the best thing that you can do for your business is to get rid of clients.
Yep.
And, you and I have a concept that we use in when we cultivate a client list, and that's the 1 in, 1 out policy. And it stems from way back in my college days when I worked at a bar and I was the bouncer, and we got too full. The bartender would say, hey, it's 1 in, 1 out, which means no one can come in until someone leaves. And in an accounting business, the same concept can apply. Like, I'm going to get rid of folks once I find someone to replace them. And it makes for a good strategy in how to really cultivate your client list. But it also inspires you to go out and find a new client so that I can get rid of the old crap. I can replace it with something that's actually of value, something that's going to pay me more, something that's more ideal. And so I think that 1 in, 1 out concept is really applicable here, because it gives you a little bit more confidence to do what you need to do, which is to get rid of clients. But even if you don't replace it, even if you don't replace a fired client with a new one, like, it's going to create capacity to focus on your business, to streamline your processes and your tech stack. It's going to allow you to create better workflow. It's going to allow you to plan. It's going to allow you to get more comfortable with your niche and client service. Your clients are going to be happier that stay because you're going to see them more.
Right.
They may be willing to pay you more. Like, it's hard to say it. It's hard to say the statement, losing clients is the best thing for your business. But when you see the impact to our lives and our businesses from doing that, from creating space or creating room for better clients, the business and the individuals running it, it's a win.
Yeah, it's powerful. We're going through this process right now. It's not the first time we've gone through it. What seems to happen with us is we'll get into a very big cultivation mode or season. Mm-hmm. Seems like every 18 months or so we do this, because we're not very seasonal. We're just bookkeeping, so it's pretty consistent work. Mm-hmm. But there'll be a time when I can just feel my partner and the staff just disheveled, for lack of a better word, to use your word. And that's because we just have too many clients, because we're chasing the revenue. We have to take a step back and say, all right, well, time to cultivate. And we will look at all the clients that, where we are right now, if we wouldn't have said yes to them today, they're on what we call the list. We literally have a spreadsheet that's titled the list. And those clients go on there. And as a new client comes in, that's a better fit that we would say yes to now. Mm-hmm. If there's a client on that list that we would not say yes to if they had come to us today, they're gone. Mm-hmm. So we're going through that right now. And
and we're coming up on
huge
it.
Relief.
We're ending the final filing season. Well, yeah, we are. A 10-15 deadline. And what happens with 10-15 deadline? Well, everyone's tired. everyone's ready to take a break. Everyone's pissed off at somebody. And then, you blink your eyes and you're in tax planning, or you're in budgeting or forecasting, or you're planning for your end. And, one thing leads to another, and you're right into another busy season. So the time is now. So what does this look like? What is this concept of losing clients to have? Well, before I go there, I got to tell you one more story. So this was today. This is Doug, and sorry to interrupt this episode of the Practicing Accountant podcast. I wanted to inform you of something special that we're brewing up here at the Practicing Accountant. We plan to release later this fall, maybe early winter, a new product in which you can join us and learn some amazing things and a sequence to create strategy for your business so that you can be successful in building an experience that you will enjoy and want to stay in. Now, back to the episode. I talked to an executive in an accounting firm, and she was having a conversation around new clients that were brought in July that were just absolute messes, that did nothing but cause issues in scheduling and in resources and capacity and stress and pressure, and this individual is about ready to quit this firm. And why was this client brought in, or these clients? Like, what caused someone to say, yeah, we'll do more? Was it the people pleaser? Is it the revenue? Is it just not having a process on when and what you should be bringing in? Sure, it's a lot of those things and maybe some others. But the effect on a team of bringing in these clients that do nothing really, I mean, these are like 1040s and, things that really don't add a lot of revenue, and the cost of bringing them in hurts the people working there. Yep. And it causes that business to become unstable.
Yep.
You start losing good resources because you're not willing to get rid of clients. This same individual is promised never to have to do a 1040, and she's got, I don't know how many she's going through right now, but a lot more than nothing. and so, another reason to look at this, best thing for your business, it's the best thing for your resources, is to lose some clients.
And your clients.
Mm-hmm.
Because service is going to suffer when morale goes down, or capacity drops to zero.
Yeah, because we only have so many hours, and so if you think about every client you bring in is going to take away not only from your team, that's going to take away from the clients that you love. Mm-hmm. So every time you bring in a new client, that means you're going to be able to do less for them, until there's nothing left except send it to me, I'll send it back, and that's as much service as your existing clients get. So what does this look like? I think your analogy or your real life example of the list is exactly where to start. And that list is just a list of all the clients you have, and maybe the services you provide, maybe the hours and fees that you spend on them, and then some form of assessment. Is this a client I keep or that I get rid of? And it can be, client I know I'm going to keep, client I think I'm going to keep, client that needs to change somehow for me to keep them, or client that I could just give a shit about losing. And I think I'd start with that list of clients that you could really don't care if you ever talk to again. Like, just start there. Yep. And for whatever reason, maybe because they're jerks, maybe because they don't pay, maybe because they complain about your bills, maybe because they don't get you the stuff on time, maybe because they're doing things you're not interested in, maybe because they're in the wrong niche, whatever. But identify those clients that you really, this was the last season you're serving them. And however big that list is, or however many people are on that list, it doesn't matter. Yep. But start there and be tactical about it. Like, how much revenue is that? So you can understand what it is you need to potentially, maybe replace them with. But just so that way you understand the circumstances and recognize how much that's going to free up for you, so that when a really great client shows up, you've got room. Because there's a lot of shopping around that's going to happen here in the next 3 months. There's a lot of underserved families and businesses that are going to be looking to change their professional service provider, and probably going to be looking for someone like you that can be the one that helps them. Mm-hmm. And so starting with that list, identifying exactly who it is that you really don't care about, and then preparing to fire them as soon as you filed their last piece of information.
Yep. Now's the time of year to do that.
Right. Or maybe you just finished closing their books for October or for September, and and decide, you know what, as soon as I close these, I'm going to have the conversation because I
Yep.
don't want them anymore. I don't like serving them anymore, whatever. And then it comes down to how do you do it? You know, and I think for the ones that you really could care less about, I think a letter is plenty.
Yeah.
Just to say, you know what, thank you for the business. I'm going to have you move on, and this will be our last season together, and I wish you luck. And if you need me to send some stuff over to your new practitioner, I'm more than happy to. And thank you for your time. Signed, done. AICPA's got templates of these letters out there. If you need to borrow one, if you've got connections within the industry that you can reach out to and maybe borrow a template from them, you can do that. But get that moving, and then instantly, I swear, instantly you'll feel better. Like it's just like a,
Yeah.
I don't have to keep them in my head anymore. I can move on, and it just the next day feels a little bit brighter, warmer, and or colder depending on your preference. And
Yeah. And your staff will just love you to death. Or if you're a solopreneur, you'll love yourself to death. You'll be so relieved that you don't have that burdensome client hanging around anymore. And you know which clients we're talking about. You probably have one in your mind right now.
Totally
Thinking about it.
But,
yeah.
Have you ever heard of top grading?
Mm-mm.
So top grading is an old HR trick. And the way it worked is every year you would rank your employees as an A or a B or a C. And if you had a C, bad news, you're going to be looking for a new job. They would fire you. They'd get rid of you. And so all you'd have left is A's and B's. And then, you'd do some hiring or whatever you needed to do during the year, and people would perform. And then in a year's time, guess what? Everyone gets graded again. Yep. A, B, and C. C's, see you later. A's and B's continue to perform and be a part of the infrastructure of the organization. Why not do that with clients?
Right.
Like just A, B, and C it, and you can use other factors, whatever. And then every year you get rid of the C's, so you've got nothing but A's and B's. And then you're bringing in nothing but good clients. At least you believe them to be A's and B's. And then next year you go through the same process. It's amazing how great of a client you might have by doing that a couple of 2 or 3 years in a row.
Yep. And that average of client will rise over time because some of those B's now will turn into C's next year because your A's are so damn good.
Right. And the A's just become the most incredible clients you have, and they pay you amazing amounts, and they use you all the time, and they see you as their advisor, and they want you as part of their transactions, and they call you, and you actually want to pick up the phone when they do.
Yep.
Like year after year after year of building those A's into the high quality client that you can have is huge. So the path forward here is make that list, identify the ones that you absolutely know you need to get rid of them. If from that you need to add some more business back, you might need to do some business development. But you and I both know that accountants don't do a whole lot of business development because their phone rings, they answer their emails, they get referrals just for being who they are.
Yep.
And in this time in society, there's just so much work for accountants because there's just getting to be fewer of them. There's more that are retiring. There's more that are stepping out. There's more that are, or less that are in the pipeline. There's just so much opportunity for accountants to have the type of clients they want to have. And the more time we spend serving clients that don't appreciate you, the less time we spend building that business that you really want to have.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. Awesome, man. Good stuff.
Go lose some clients so we can. So your list, like when does the firing happen?
We give them a month. And then a month to find a new bookkeeper.
That's nice.
Yep.
So you can like notice.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Unless they're an asshole or yell at our staff, then they're just out. But
they're just gone.
Yeah. Generally it's a month.
I you know what? I'll tell you the times I've seen, like when I was a staff coming up and I watched someone above me, like a partner or an executive partner, whatever, when I saw them fire clients on our behalf or for the betterment of the business, like it made a big difference in how I perceived them and the firm.
For sure.
Like the credibility it brings, the trust, the sense of they care, Like they're not just going out to sell something new or say yes to something that's going to hurt us or cause us pain or have to deal with a jerk. Like it goes a long way to build rapport within the culture of a firm when you actually follow through on your promise to fire clients.
And if you do have staff, listen to them. Go to them first.
Totally.
About
right.
these clients.
Yeah, what do you guys think?
The client is going to be an angel to you, the owner of the business, generally. Mm-hmm. If they have a bad seed, or if they're a bad seed, they might be a jerk to a lower level employee first without hesitation. So talk to your staff. They'll have a better pulse on that.
Absolutely. I agree. That's all I got. So go lose some clients so you can better your experience in public accounting or bookkeeping or whatever you do.
Awesome. Thanks, Doug.
Yep.
See ya.
Cheers. Thank you for watching this episode of the Practicing Accountant podcast. We hope from it you might be inspired or motivated to get rid of some of those clients that I know you need to get rid of. And more importantly, for what it might do for your business, in that it might create capacity in which you can enjoy working on your business, in which you might make room for better paying clients that appreciate you more, and that you're not afraid to pick up the phone when they call. And might even build more credibility and rapport with your team to see that you're looking out for them and not putting the client before their own needs. Please share and like this episode and tune in for our next episode of the Practicing Accountant podcast. Thank you very much for watching. Cheers.